Okay, everybody, Global from Asia. We have a new crypto project, and we're talking about crypto in Hong Kong and Asia. You ready for this, Shaina?
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear about this.
Let's go.
Welcome to the Global from Asia podcast, where the daunting process of running an international business is broken down into straight up actionable advice. And now, your host, Michael Michelini.
How you doing, Shaina? How's it going today?
I'm feeling great now that the storm is gone, so I'm finally okay now.
Yeah, I know. It's been typhoon season all around Asia, but especially the Philippines. It seems like it was like
Yeah,
a huge, I think,
it was
strain.
a hard week. Yes,
It's
I
like
think.
already COVID, and now you get a typhoon. It's like
Mhm.
I keep telling people, I think when this is, we got to have like 10x. Like after all of this stress the last couple of years, we've got to have a huge positive event for everybody to make up for all of this. But the world is changing. I think it will never go back to the way it was. And even coming to our today's show, where we have a new crypto project that's also started here in Asia and Hong Kong and Singapore, Clearpool. And I think crypto is really picked up. I mean, it was always picking up, but I think honestly, I think COVID and lockdowns has forced even more people to get into cryptocurrencies and crypto markets. And the infinity we talk about too, right, Shayna?
Yeah, I totally agree with that because nowadays, everything you wanted everything to do it online. You don't want to go out because you're scared of what might happen. So I think it's very good opportunity to have those, crypto and
Yeah, for sure. And then after the interview, Shaina, she mentioned about Axie Infinity, and I have some stories about Axie Infinity, which is some crypto game. I'm not even totally sure, but I was talking to some people about it. We'll share after the interview in our blah, blah, blah section. And then before we get into the interview, Aubrey on our team also is on the show. Just a quick segment for a couple minutes. She's also our community manager, and her and I talk about some deal flow and community stuff. Shaina, let's go into that section next.
okay, let's do it.
Let's go. All right. So this is our first GFA community and deal flow section of the podcast. And we have with us Aubrey. She's new on the team. Thanks for being here, Aubrey.
Thanks, Mike, as well. Glad to be here.
It's great. It's great. You're, really excited to have you help out with our community at Global from Asia and our VIP members, and also the deal flow. Like as a lot of people know, we have the fairly new broker program for Amazon and e-commerce sellers at globalfromasia.com/broker. And you've been studying that and talking to me and some other people approaching. So what do you think so far?
I think we're doing good so far. Yeah, and we're establishing the process.
Yeah, I know. I'm happy to see you helping make some systems and organizing the things together. We've already fielded in a couple of the form submissions people can fill out at, again, globalfromasia.com/broker, with some different sellers, of course, in China, but also I think somebody who's in Australia wants to sell their business contacted us, and some people overseas. And, we're still getting you on the WeChat. It's a joke almost, but we have a special phone in the Philippines for the WeChat. It's still stuck in the mail, right?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, typhoons and COVID is not helping logistics, as we talked about in the shows. So Aubrey, you also started working on a survey. Do you want to maybe just give some people some ideas of what you're going to ask some of the members in the survey?
So as Mike mentioned, I'm the US community manager for Global from Asia. So I do have this project, a survey for our members. And my goal here is to fully understand where our members are coming from and to really know if they are happy and satisfied with the community. So I want to get their valuable feedback, and also to know if we could how can we continuously improve our service.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Yeah, so she'll be reaching out to some of you. So just stay tuned for some updates from our amazing new community manager and expert, Aubrey. Thanks, Aubrey.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to get to know them and resonate with them. So yeah, we can make a great community.
Awesome. I'm excited. All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and watching or listening. Most of you listen, I believe, but to the Global from Asia podcast. And today's show is a great one. Shaina, you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, actually, it's the first time she's bringing her on to co-host the interview. So she's been stepping up a lot in our YouTube videos and our intros. So thanks for joining me in the interviews here, Shaina.
Yeah, I'm very. It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. Yeah. So stepping up the team and the game here. And so we're going to go right into the episode. We have with us the co-founder and CEO of Clearpool. It's an interesting new project in finance and in the crypto space and in Asia. A lot of cool stuff we love about the show and a lot of listeners. Rob Alcorn, thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on. And I've been following this, and it's also relevant. We had earlier, we're global from Asia. We talk about cross-border trade, cross-border business, and Hong Kong and Asia. And crypto has become more and more an interesting part of what we do here over the years. Even way back in the day, we had people talking about Bitcoin in 2014, if you can believe it, on the show. And we've had over the years. We also had, I believe, one of your investors, Jahan Chu at Kinetic Capital, on the show earlier this year. So it's a real pleasure to have you with us.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, Jahan is indeed one of our investors at Kinetic. So I used to live in Hong Kong, and I first got introduced to Jahan probably around 2016, 17. So we didn't really know each other back then, but we were both kind of, attending these various events, and Jahan had his own events. So yeah, it was good to finally, do something together, and they're a very good partner of ours now as an investor.
Great. Do you want to give us a quick high-level intro of Clearpool?
Sure, yeah. So Clearpool is a decentralized capital markets ecosystem. So initially, we wanted to solve a problem. So in DeFi lending and borrowing, one of the major problems for borrowers, at least, is over collateralization. So that's kind of how we sort of start the project. With trying to find a solution to that problem. When I say we, by the way, my co-founder is Alessio Quaglini. He's the CEO of Hex Trust, which is Asia's leading digital asset custodian. He's also in Hong Kong. So we used to work together at a bank years ago, and we had a sort of a mutual interest in crypto back then, around 2016. He left the bank shortly after that to start Hex. We would keep in touch, and so we were chatting earlier this year, and we kind of came up with this idea for Clearpool, which solved that problem of over collateralization. And at that point, I kind of left my job. I was a trader at a bank. That's my background. I've been working in global financial markets for the last 12 years, and but I've had an interest in crypto for a long time, and this was finally my chance to sort of make the move from traditional finance into crypto and DeFi. And so Clearpool solves this problem of over collateralization. It's basically like a decentralized dynamic marketplace for unsecured liquidity. So institutional borrowers can access uncollateralized liquidity on Clearpool. So the borrowers have to be whitelisted. So that's a governance process. They make a proposal to the Clearpool community, which is our native token holders, CPOOL token holders. So they make this proposal, they can become whitelisted, and then they can open a liquidity pool. This is basically like a smart contract running on the blockchain. And once that's live, then anybody really can connect to the app and be a liquidity provider. So anybody can provide liquidity into this pool. So the pool is specific to the borrower. So there's only one borrower per pool. But then we have this really cool feature where once there's liquidity in the pool, the borrower can utilize it. And as they do that, we have this dynamic interest rate. So with the utilization rate, when that increases, so does the interest rate. So as the risk increases for the lenders, they get rewarded with higher interest rates, and vice versa. When the borrower puts liquidity back into the pool, lowers the utilization rate, the interest rates come down. So we have this dynamic effect where we'll sort of always find this equilibrium interest rate and pool size for each of the different borrowers. So it's kind of like, from a borrower's perspective, it's kind of like almost like a sort of revolving credit facility. And from the lender's perspective, as I mentioned earlier, that they can sort of get attractive rewards as this liquidity is being utilized by the borrowers. And then those rewards are also enhanced with additional rewards from our native token Cpool. So the APYs for lending on Clearpool will be pretty significant. So we developed this solution to solve that problem. But then, as LPs, liquidity providers, lend into these pools, they receive CP tokens in return when they do that. CP tokens are kind of like LP tokens. They do a few things. So they represent the amount of liquidity that has been supplied to a pool. They accrue the interest rate for that pool on every block. But then they also represent the risk profile of the borrower for that pool. So this is really important because that then becomes almost like a tokenized credit. And these things can then trade in a secondary market. So they are redeemable. So if there's liquidity available in the pool, CP token holders can redeem directly from the pool. But if you have a high utilization rate, then those tokens can be traded in a secondary environment where you have this sort of separate supply and demand dynamic, which will also drive the price of those tokens in a secondary market. So that's quite important because it gives the LPs some risk management optionality, which is very important, because what's happening here is, to solve the problem of over collateralization, we're kind of replacing collateral with counterparty risk. So if you're going to do that, it's very important to provide LPs with some way of managing that risk, of quantifying it and managing it and hedging it. So these CP tokens are like the building blocks for a system of tokenized credit and risk management. And we'll be developing and introducing a lot more cool features as we move forward, like decentralized credit derivatives, which will allow the LPs to really be able to sort of hedge and manage the risk exposures that they take on by funding these borrowers.
Great. Is there governance? It's also a governance token?
Yep, it is. Yeah. So the Cpool token is the governance token. So the borrowers will have to be staking Cpool in order to become a borrower, or to certainly access the part of the protocol where they can make a proposal to become whitelisted. So that is a required part from the borrower side. Anybody can be staking Cpool additionally. So there's going to be sort of staking program and rewards for that. As I mentioned, there will be rewards for LPs, which are paid in the governance token. And then eventually we'll progress to this full decentralization state. So Cpool holders will be able to propose, vote, and implement changes to the protocol. But before we get there, it'll be the Cpool holders that will whitelist the borrowers. So they have a really important role to play right from the beginning, and they will get rewarded for that as well. So there's an incentive mechanism built into that. So obviously they're doing work, and they will get rewarded for doing that. So yeah, it's very exciting, and the IDO for that is going to be coming up very soon. So the whole team is very busy preparing for that.
Great. Yeah, lots of incentives and rewards there. I mean, it's a lot of levels, so it's exciting.
Yeah. So Rob, how's the crypto market in Hong Kong and Singapore these days?
Yeah, good question, because I just moved to Singapore about a year ago. So it's been really interesting, to see the community and how it differs. So I moved to Hong Kong in 2016, and I moved there from Dubai. And at that time in Dubai, there really wasn't much happening in terms of crypto. There were obviously people interested and talking about it, but when I arrived in Hong Kong, there was this huge scene. It was already already established. So it's very, very easy to sort of integrate, into the community and a network and meet other like-minded people. There are a lot of events and, drink events and all sorts of stuff.
Drinks, happy hours.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So even back in 2016, I think there was a big community in Hong Kong, and obviously, 2017, you kind of had the whole ICO thing, and then the subsequent crash, but that really didn't. It really didn't phase the community in Hong Kong. It was amazing to see how, there's some very intelligent people working on projects, and the Hong Kong scene just continued to grow. And now I think it feels like pretty much everyone in Hong Kong is kind of, into crypto in some way. So, you can speak to taxi drivers or bankers, to even, helpers, playing Axie Infinity in their spare time, something like that. I think, so I think everybody is kind of into crypto there. So it's amazing. But moving to Singapore it's been interesting because, I've been here a year, but of course there's been some restrictions due to COVID. So I know that there's a very big community in Singapore. There's a lot of projects here, and there's a lot of projects coming here from places like from Hong Kong, for example. But it's difficult because it doesn't really feel like there's such a big community right now, because we don't have the opportunity to have those meetups or those drinks events. So I'm sure we'll get out of that eventually, and people will be starting to meet up again. But I think that that there is a big community in Singapore, and I think that seems like it's going to grow, because it does seem like there's a lot of projects, and even sort of bigger projects or bigger institutions like exchanges basing their operations here in Singapore. So I would say both of them have a very sort of big community and ecosystem, but certainly it feels like Hong Kong is still the more vibrant of the two right now.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, kind of had a follow-up, but you're somewhat answered it. But some people feel like Singapore is capturing a lot of the crypto as well as just startup in general, especially for investing, as like VCs and others in the financial sector in the articles I read, but it's hard to see, like you say, because it's COVID and lockdowns, but we'll see what happens over time, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we just need to get out of these restrictions that we have at the moment, and we can see exactly how the land lies. I think as I mentioned, Hong Kong is still very vibrant. I still think it has a big part to play. Clearly there does seem like there's some projects are moving, but there's still a lot of very intelligent people over there working on some very cool stuff. So, and I think because we're now at this sort of like state where crypto has reached sort of this mass adoption. There's I don't think you have to have like one center in Asia where sort of crypto is big. I think it can be in pretty much every major city and hub. You can have a large crypto community, and it's growing at such a fast pace. I think you'll always have it in Hong Kong, and you'll always have it in Singapore, and I'm sure many other places as well.
True.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because here in the Philippines, it's growing slowly by slowly. Yeah. So, Rob, how's the evolution gone from your perspective in Asia for crypto and trading?
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of as I said, really. I mean, when I arrived in Hong Kong, there was already a lot of people working on stuff, and for me at that stage, I was working at a bank, but I got into crypto in 2015. So I was working I had a side project. It was like an automated digital wealth management platform, and I was trying to find a solution. But basically, those sort of platforms, robo advisors, they're kind of like a digital front, but everything underneath that is like the decades old financial infrastructure. So that's very slow and clunky and expensive. So I started to look at blockchain as a potential way to sort of introduce a better, faster and cheaper sort of settlement and custodial layer for that type of industry. And it was really through that I got into crypto. So when I arrived in Hong Kong, that was why I kind of immersed myself into the community there. And as I said, it was already buzzing, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And I think that is just grown exponentially over the time. So it's been incredible to see, and I think now we've really reached this stage of mass adoption. So I think back then there was still the worry that there was a lot of sort of scams, and a lot of people were still kind of like talking about is this a bubble, and of course there's a lot of people that had already got way past that phase and already knew that this was going to be something big, but that was still very much what people were talking about back then. But now it seems like that's kind of disappeared, and most people realize that crypto is here to stay. Yeah, there's still a lot of I guess sort of scams and bad actors, but you have that everywhere. You have that in pretty much every part of life, and we can use that example of when we the internet first became a thing. Back in the mid late 90s, there were all sorts of scams, and there still is on the internet, right? It's full of them, and I don't think you can really use that as an argument against crypto, and I hear it less and less now anyway. So I think we've reached that stage of mass adoption, and here in Singapore, as I mentioned, there's a lot of projects now. There's a lot of exchanges which are kind of like local exchanges, and there are people. I listen to conversations on the street, and the people talking about buying Bitcoin and other coins, and as Shayna said, the Axie Infinity thing is very big.
I always get some offerings about playing Axie.
Yeah.
Axie.
See people just walking around the street, playing Axie. It's amazing. So
that's crazy.
And not to mention that the explosion of NFTs. This is something again that it's really been really big, and it's kind of like it's that next level. And right now it's kind of more surrounding the sort of the creator economy, which is great because it really lends itself to that. But I think the NFT technology has some huge potential to change and disrupt a lot of things. And I know there's some really intelligent, really cool people working on stuff in that space, and we're even looking at it for Clearpool as well. So that that's just another level. And with DeFi now becoming having such sort of like explosive growth, I just see it continuing to go from strength to strength. And in Asia, I really feel like we're at the center of it. I think it's easy to say that because we're based in Asia, but recently we did our fundraising at Clearpool, and I was speaking to VCs all over the world, and everybody knows the part that Asia has played in this growth and this getting to this stage of mass adoption. Everybody knows what's going on in Hong Kong all the time, and in Singapore, and of course we have some of the largest institutions in the space came out of Asia. So everybody, I think, also even from outside of Asia, realizes how sort of central it is to the wider sort of global crypto industry.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, we also had a great, like we mentioned Jahan earlier, but he's at globalfromasia.com/NFT. It's an easy one to remember. And if those listening want to learn a little bit more about NFTs and some of that, that'd be a great show to tune into. So and then also the Bitcoin ETF, I think seems like it's going to actually happen, which is, I think, great for all of crypto. I know there's a whole Bitcoin maximalist thoughts, but I think it's good for all of crypto that it gets more adoption and more tradability for the mother coin or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been talked about for a very long time, so it'll be good to finally see that come to fruition.
Yeah. For sure. Okay, so let's bring it back to Clearpool. What's where are we now? Where are you now? And what's happening?
Yeah, so we closed our funding round in September. So we had a seed round back in June. Then we were just building, and then we had a lot of interest. So we decided to open up the private round. So we closed that in September. It was a huge success. We were significantly oversubscribed, which is it's a good problem to have. So we have some really good backers, and that was a very, very cool process to be able to speak to to some big names in the industry and get their feedback, and it went very well. So we closed that out, and now we work towards our public sale. So our IDO is coming soon.
Okay.
So we recently announced that will be on DAOmaker. We haven't released a date yet, but all of the guys listening and watching can just keep an eye on our social channels. We'll be announcing some pretty big stuff in the coming days. So keep an eye on that for the dates, and the interest has been incredible. I mean, we've been really overwhelmed with the amount of interest. Even really, in such a short space of time, because we only really came out of stealth mode around the time when we closed our funding round, which was, really just, I guess, probably like a month ago. But the interest in Clearpool has been crazy. So we know there's a lot of people, asking the question already, how can we get some? Where do we buy it? When's the launch going to be? So the team's working really hard to try to make this token launch as kind of accessible and as open as possible. So it's the Launchpad platform, but we're working on a couple of other things where immediately at the same time as we launch there'll be other options for people who aren't successful on DAO Maker, because there's a kind of like a lottery basis. So, even if you're on DAO Maker, there's no guarantee you can get some, but then you can move to one of the other venues that we're working with to try to make it as fair and open as possible. So we're working very hard on that. So that's going to come soon. And really then we work towards the mainnet launch. So the developers have been incredible. So because this is, it's quite a complex protocol. So, it's not something that you can kind of build overnight. It's not like a sort of a copy and paste. There's a lot of like new innovations here. So that's going really well, and they're kind of ahead of schedule. But so I guess after we've done the public sale, then we start to really sort of announce the roadmap in terms of what's coming next. But I think immediately after the IDO, there'll be a pre-staking program, so that will be introduced, and then I think we're probably looking at a mainnet launch in January, and we're starting to think about multi-chain stuff. So we're speaking to other blockchains. We're initially building on Ethereum, but our thoughts from the beginning was to make Clearpool a multi-chain project. So we've been speaking to other blockchains and layer 2 solutions.
Perfect.
And again, the feedback has been very good. So we're definitely going to do something. And again, we'll announce that later in the year. So there'll be multi-chain, layer 2, token bridging, and then lots of other cool stuff. So one of the first things we'll launch in terms of product development after we've launched on the mainnet is index pools. So I talked about the single borrower aspect of the liquidity pools that we'll have. We'll also build these index pools. So if you wanted to sort of diversify across a number of those borrowers, you'll be able to do that by putting your liquidity into an index pool. The index pools will be governance created, and they can be, for example, diversifying the liquidity across just A-rated borrowers or B-rated borrowers, or across A and B. So however these things are created will be done through a governance process, but it gives the community, the investors, the LPs, the opportunity to be able to easily diversify their funding across a number of borrowers rather than having to do that individually. So that's something that will come, straight after the mainnet launch. So it's all very exciting. Yeah, it's all coming very fast.
Yeah, it does sound it for sure.
Yeah, it's very good to hear that. For the listeners today, how can, people get more involved with your Clearpool?
So at the moment we've got a couple of promotions running. So we have a giveaway actually. So if you go into our Twitter page, is probably the best thing. From there you can also join the Telegram community. Those two social channels have exploded in the last few weeks. So we have a lot of followers there now. But the giveaway, you can win 1 ETH is the top prize, and then there's multiple Clearpool prizes to be won below that. So people can get some free Clearpool before we've even launched the token. So that'll obviously be airdropped once it's launched. We have a meme competition going on at the moment. Again, go onto the Twitter. That's quite funny to see some of the stuff that's on that. There's also some prizes available. And then really I would say, just keep an eye out on those channels, because like I said, there'll be some announcements coming really soon. So this will, you can find out exactly how you'll be able to participate on DAO Maker and what other platforms will be supported on immediately. And obviously the date of that will be announced soon. We've got a new landing page, which will be launched next week, which has a lot more information on the project and a roadmap and tokenomics information, stuff like that. And then, once we've done the IDO, as I mentioned, we'll have the pre-staking. And I think it's really important to mention, the Clearpool's sort of long-term vision. We're really building this, with a sort of long-term vision. We believe that eventually, all debt will be originated on chain, and I think Clearpool is going to be, right at the beginning of that process. I think we'll be well positioned to get a lot of market share from traditional finance, and that's why we're focusing very much on sort of like this. The sophistication of like the risk management and the derivatives aspect, but also, from a regulatory perspective, we're trying to, to do everything right from the beginning. And I think that's very important if you have a long-term vision. So, for those guys that are buying the token early on, it's very important to stake and hold the token, because those that do that for longer, will get the much bigger opportunities, as we move forward with the growth of the protocol. So yeah, buy some C-Pool and get staking, and I think the future is going to be very bright.
Sounds great. Yeah, I mean, as the name says, Clearpool, right? It's transparency on the blockchain, and I like the vision of debt originating on a transparent way, not these, like you mentioned throughout the interview, some parts of the interview, like the archaic closed system where you don't know, it's like a black box, you don't know what's happening. It's the beauty of the blockchain and what I see Clearpool tooling. So I know you're super busy, Rob, and appreciate you taking the time out to share with us and our listeners. We'll link all of these as much as we can on the show notes at Global from Asia on our blog, to the Clearpool, the different projects and various programs. Is any last words? I mean, I think you just gave us some great insights, but anything you'd like to add?
No, really, no. It's been great to be here and meet you guys, and I'd love to come back in maybe 3 or 6 months when we've launched and everything is up and running, and we can do an update and do it all again. It'll be great.
I love it.
That's exciting.
Okay. Yes. All right. Thanks. We'll make that happen. I'm excited for the launch.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Okay, Shaina, great job. It's your first hosting, co-hosting. How do you feel about that?
I was kind of nervous, but I'm so happy, and I feel like one of my goals in life have been accomplished. So it was fun.
There you go. You're a natural. I think you're a natural. So, and you got me, well, definitely, like we said in the intro, like crypto's the future. It's really exciting what I'm hearing, Clearpool is going into, and also one of our previous guests and supporters, Jahan Chu from Connecticut, is super supportive. He invested in their project and is also supportive of our community. But yeah, so how is it in the Philippines or in your world? A lot of people talk about crypto.
Yeah, they're talking about, not sure because I haven't played that actual game yet, but I always heard about, Axie, investing in Axie. But there's a friend of mine that he really resigned at his job on the bank just to focus on crypto trading and playing Axie.
Yeah.
So, and then he encouraged my husband to do that as well. But and then later on, we learned that it's on crypto, right? So we were kind of hesitant because we don't know anything about it and we don't understand how does it work. So it's very good timing that we were talking with Clearpool.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I haven't gotten into it myself either, Axie Infinity, but the craziest story is I was having dinner a couple weeks ago, and a Philippine, somebody from the Philippines, she's helping take care of one of my friend's children, and she was at dinner with us, and then she's saying how her son in Philippines is playing Axie Infinity all the time, and he wants to drop out of college because he just wants to do Axie Infinity. And she's saying, no, he has to finish college. I'm working for him to go to college and supporting him, and he better finish his college. And they're like fighting about it. I guess they're, whatever chat they're talking remotely. And she's saying how everybody, and even at dinner, my friend, he's like, yeah, they're building up like these teams of people to do Axie Infinity gameplay. I think you earn crypto by playing a game. I think that's what it is.
Yeah,
and you can sell stuff you earn in the game.
That's right. You're going to, for example, there's this character and you have to build him up. so that you can sell him when when it's big and mature, just like selling a fruit. You have to take care of the plant, and then you have to. I'm not quite sure, but that's what they told me. They said that it's easy because you're just like taking care of a baby.
Oh, so I guess but it's like the future. I mean, the idea is even before crypto, there was games that people would build up a character and then sell the character. But actually, if before crypto, that's actually a little bit dangerous for Shaina and everyone listening, because the game could cancel the character, or they could say you cannot sell this character. We forbid it. Like just like your Facebook account or your even pages or Twitter, sometimes they can ban your account, like you
That's right.
build up account and then they delete it. But with, I think, whether it's Axie Infinity or any NFT or a crypto game, and just like with Clearpool or with your trading, is they can't take it away from you. It's your work is yours and you can keep it or sell it. So I think what people are doing is they're building up these characters and building up these assets, like they're building them up and then they're selling them or getting paid to do certain things in the game. It's crazy, but it's
It's what's happening.
it's what's happening. And there's also something called the Metaverse, where it's like the universe but in meta, like inside the games, inside so NFTs are like in games, and crypto is all kind of coming together so that in real life you have a phone or anything, like anything, but you have this in the game and you can actually sell this in the game, and it's actually owned on the blockchain so that it's not like it can get deleted by the game. So it's pretty fascinating. But yeah, we'll get your husband or you should play. You should get into it. Honestly, I haven't done it yet either, but it might be.
Sure. I'm not a total gamer, but my husband is. So I told him that maybe you should quit your work also and we'll do Axie.
There you go.
I
That's
told
great.
him one time, but then he said, I don't know how to play.
Wow, you're a great wife. That's awesome. Supporting. Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll earn more with the game. Who knows? Or maybe, well, you don't. I mean, I tell people listening, a lot of people, you don't have to quit. You don't have to quit what you're doing. You could test, right? Like nights and weekends or part time, and learn and get comfortable before you take the full dive. And then if you're going to play games anyway, why not play a game that pays, right? If it's just,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah.
If you're just going to, spend time doing some games without earning, or just you're just going to be wasting your time, why not play a game that you're earning?
Exactly. All right. Well, with that, get him to work. I'll let you go. I'll let you go get to that. Go get him to do that. And it's a pleasure to have you with us, Shaina. And
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
yeah, you also just did a really cool video about Shopee on the GFA YouTube channel, which is really cool. I just checked it out. And yeah, we're just trying to help educate people about, of course, Asia, e-commerce, crypto a little bit. Not really. Maybe we'll do more crypto, but we always, we've always had a little bit of crypto in Global from Asia, even since, like I said, like one show was at Larry Celebra.
I've read a lot of blogs from GFA
Cool.
about crypto.
There you go. See, so I think it is the future. I mean, like Rob said in the interview, unfortunately, there was a lot of scammers, especially with the ICOs in 2017. I remember that a lot. People were cheating, but I think it's here to stay, and it's becoming more and more real, legitimate projects. So I think people should expect more crypto. We always appreciate feedback on Global from Asia, and let us know what you think, everybody. And thanks, Shaina.
Yeah, thank you too.
Okay, take care.
To get more info about running an international business, please visit our website at www.globalfromasia.com. That's www.globalfromasia.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to our iTunes feed. Thanks for tuning in.